All right, let's just get right into it. Today, we're taking you straight to the absolute front line of quantitative trading. And I'm going to be speaking directly to you from the perspective of our anti-gravity development team. We're unpacking a gritty, super high-stakes story about what it literally takes to build a next-gen trading architecture from the absolute ground up. Picture this, okay? It's 3 a.m., the monitors are glaring, there's a mountain of energy drink cans piling up, and we're just staring at a screen, watching our code battle it out in real time. So this explainer, it's not about theory. It's not clean, sanitized textbook equations. No way. This is about the absolute blood, sweat, and the endless lines of code it took to survive in literally one of the most unforgiving markets on Earth. We're going to show you the agonizing roadblocks we hit, those gut-wrenching moments where we thought the whole project was completely doomed, and the breakthroughs that finally let us crack the code. So, looking back at our previous development phase, we actually pulled off a massive paradigm shift. We managed to escape that muddy swamp of traditional automated trading development by doing something kind of radical. We physically separated our system into two completely distinct halves. You see, we took the heavy analytical brain, our AI, and it shoved it over to an external Python server. We literally had to, because Python is really the only environment robust enough to handle the crushing mathematical weight of modern AI. But that left MetaTrader 5, or MT5, operating solely as our dedicated cold-blooded execution limbs, because MT5 is what actually connects to the broker to place the trades. But man, staring at this brilliant, newly severed setup, we slammed into this massive technical wall that almost broke our team. How on earth do we link this external Python brain to our MT5 execution limbs without losing a single millisecond? That latency gap, it was just staring us right in the face, taunting us. Now, you really have to understand the sheer terror of the environment we're operating in here. We aren't trading in some calm, predictable little pool. We are trading in the gold market. And let me tell you, it is a vicious, hyper-volatile arena where massive institutional investors and algorithmic titans are just constantly faking each other out second by agonizing second. As a dev team, we honestly faced absolute despair during early testing. We'd sit there in the lab, right, and we'd watch our Python AI make this brilliant market-crushing prediction. But if the communication bridging that AI to the MT5 limbs took even 1 single second of delay, fatal slippage. Boom. In the gold market, being 1 second late means the price has already violently shifted against you. We literally watched perfect theoretical wins turn into absolute live market bloodbaths. It is a death sentence for a trading account. And feeling that powerlessness as a developer, it's completely gut-wrenching. And honestly, this is exactly where so many amateur developers completely crash and burn. And full disclosure, we nearly did too. The primitive amateur approach is basically having the Python AI calculate a buy signal, write it out as a simple text file into a shared folder, and then literally force the MT5 system to constantly refresh and check that folder every few seconds. We tried it. It was an absolute nightmare. The developer pain was so real. We were constantly dealing with file read and write locks, where MT5 would try to read the file at the exact millisecond Python was trying to write it. The result? The entire system would just freeze and crash. It was agonizingly slow. We realized pretty much instantly that this method was not just useless for our extreme latency needs, but the sheer error rates would totally nuke our entire account. We desperately needed absolute zero delay execution. To overcome this fatal latency wall, our team had to just dive into the deep end. We implemented ultra-fast asynchronous communication, specifically ZeroMQ and local WebSockets. And let me tell you, wiring this together, not a walk in the park. It was a grueling, maddening process. We spent weeks just banging our heads against the wall, troubleshooting these random socket timeouts, hunting down memory leaks, figuring out why data packets were just vanishing into thin air. It felt like trying to perform microscopic surgery in the dirt. But after countless late nights, we finally eliminated the network bottlenecks. And once it clicked, oh man, it was pure magic. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it perfectly visualizes the solution. Think of our system like a human body. If Python is the brain and MT5 is the muscle, ZeroMQ acts exactly like a biological synapse. It's a neurotransmitter designed to flash that decision from the brain to the muscle with absolute instantaneous precision. So let's break down exactly what happens in these thrilling milliseconds of split-second action. Step 1. Deep inside the external Python server, our heavy-hitting predictive algorithms go to work. We're talking about models like LightGBM and XGBoost. These heavy-duty mathematical engines designed to just sift through mountains of market noise and spot hidden trends instantly. Our meta model evaluates the institutional buying pressure and makes the call. Step 2, it packs this hyper-precise strategy into a JSON format, which is basically a super lightweight, highly organized data packet. Step 3, it fires that data across the newly stabilized ZeroMQ neural network. And finally, step 4, MT5 receives it instantly for execution. You guys, watching this live is incredible. This entire 4-step sequence, from reading complex market data to the absolute brink of execution, takes just a few milliseconds. It is literally faster than you can blink. The incredible detail of what's being transmitted in that tiny fraction of a second is what really sets this whole thing apart. Our Python AI acts like this hyper-intelligent, wildly excited boss on a chaotic trading floor. It doesn't just blindly yell, "Buy," and hope for the best. No, it transmits a millimeter-precise encrypted data packet. It's saying, direction is buy. Based on the current dynamic volatility of the market, our risk is set exactly at 1% or 0.75%. Profit-taking and stop-loss are locked in using a triple barrier setup. Now, if you aren't familiar with that, a triple barrier is essentially a dynamic 3-sided net placed right around the trade to aggressively protect our capital, whether the market goes up, down, or sideways. It is a stunningly detailed, mathematically sound battle plan all packed up and fired off into the network in the blink of an eye. But here's the twist. Once MT5 receives this wildly excited, heavily detailed battle plan from the AI brain, it suddenly stops. It doesn't just blindly pull the trigger and throw our money into the market. Nope. MT5 acts as our final, unyielding gatekeeper. We purposefully programmed it to be an emotionless, cold, absolute defense program. Think of it like a seasoned, battle-hardened bouncer standing at the door of a club. It stands completely unmoved before execution. It utterly refuses to break its hard-coded rules, no matter how confident or mathematically certain the AI seems to be. And it's exactly this friction between the brilliant, aggressive AI and the deeply conservative, rule-bound execution unit that is the exact tension keeping a trading account from just completely blowing up during unexpected market chaos. In that final millisecond right before sending the actual monetary order to the broker, MT5 runs a strict safety checklist. Honestly, as developers, this is the exact code that lets our team actually sleep at night. It coldly asks, is the daily loss count still under 2? Yep, cleared. Are current active positions at absolute 0? Yes, cleared. Has the mandatory 3-hour cooling off period since our last trade completely passed? Cleared. It simply doesn't care about the AI's complex math. If the AI sends an urgent signal, but even one of these hard rules is violated, like say we've already hit our strict loss limit for a super choppy day, MT5 ruthlessly shuts the communication out. The signal is entirely blocked. The system just remains in total silence, aggressively protecting our capital until the market reopens under much safer conditions the next day. Stepping back to look at the whole picture, man, the sheer pride our anti-gravity team feels for actually achieving this is just immense. After all those late nights fighting brutal latency, literally pulling our hair out over file read locks, and constantly rewriting socket connections, we successfully bridged 2 completely different systems. We took the absolute highest level of external AI intelligence and seamlessly fused it with the rugged, rule-abiding discipline of MT5. They perfectly cover each other's weaknesses. By finally conquering that fatal latency wall with our ZeroMQ neural network, we've essentially given everyday retail investors the institutional-grade technology they actually need to survive and thrive in this brutal gold market. This right here, this is the completed, battle-tested form of a next-generation quant architecture. So, the communication architecture is finally built. The neural network is firing flawlessly, and the defense gates are holding strong. But listen, our battle on the front line is far from over. Our next massive hurdle as a team is taking this perfectly engineered system and plunging it straight into the unknown. We now have to forge and train this AI using Optuna, which, by the way, is an advanced optimization framework used to test thousands of hyperparameter combinations to find the absolute perfect settings. And then we throw it into live forward testing with real ammunition, trading real capital. What bizarre, unexpected, and optimal parameter solutions will the AI discover when it's finally exposed to ruthless live market data? Will our architecture actually hold up under fire? Well, that is exactly what we're going to uncover in our next explainer. Thank you so much for joining the anti-gravity team on the front line today, and I'll see you next time.